Let me paint you a picture. It is 9 p.m. You have an exam in 2 days. You have been sitting at your desk for 4 hours with your notes open and your highlighter in hand. And somehow you have retained almost nothing. You are not distracted. You are not on your phone. You are trying, really trying, and it is still not working. If that sounds familiar, this video is going to change the way you study. This is Mind and Motion Life, and I am a doctor of physical therapy student with ADHD. And I spent way too long studying the wrong way before I figured out what actually works for a brain like mine. Today I am going to show you exactly what that looks like. Here's the truth about traditional studying. Rereading your notes, highlighting, watching lectures twice, these methods work by repetition and passive exposure. The assumption is that if you see something enough times, it will eventually stick. For some brains, that is true. For ADHD brains, passive input without active engagement is basically background noise. Your brain needs novelty, challenge, and active involvement to actually encode information. Sitting still and rereading the same paragraph for the third time is almost the opposite of what your brain needs. And here is the thing that nobody tells you. The study methods that actually work for ADHD brains are also the methods that the research consistently shows work best for long-term retention for everyone. You are not looking for a workaround. You are looking for the right approach. And once you find it, everything changes. The method is called the 90-minute efficiency model, and it is built around 3 30-minute sprints. Each sprint has a completely different job. Together, they move information from something you kind of recognize into something you actually own and can use clinically. No more 4-hour sessions of passive rereading. No more highlighting the same sentences over and over. Just 3 focused sprints, 2 short breaks, and you are done. And you will retain more in those 90 minutes than you would in an entire day of traditional studying. Let me walk you through exactly how each sprint works. Sprint 1 is learn. This is your first contact with the material and it lasts 30 minutes. The key word here is actively. You are not just moving your eyes across the page. You are engaging with the content in real time. You are pausing after every paragraph and asking yourself what the main point was. You are summarizing sections in your own words, in the margins, or in a separate document. You are flagging anything that does not make sense yet so you know exactly where your gaps are. What you are not doing is highlighting. Highlighting feels productive, but it is one of the most deceptive study habits that exists. It gives you the feeling of engaging with material without actually making you process it. Put the highlighter down. The goal of Sprint 1 is not to memorize anything. It is to build a framework, a mental map that your brain can hang details on later. Think of it like building the skeleton before you add the muscles. When your 30 minutes are up, stop, even if you are not done with the material. Take a 5-minute break, move your body, get some water, step away from your desk completely. Your brain consolidates information during rest, not during more studying. The break is not a reward. It is part of the process. Sprint 2 is active recall. This is the most powerful study technique available to you and also the one most students avoid because it feels harder than rereading. That difficulty is not a sign that it is not working. It is a sign that your brain is actually working. Here is exactly how it goes. Close everything. Your notes, your slides, your textbook, all of it. Then write down everything you remember from Sprint 1. Do not peek, do not check. Just write. It will feel uncomfortable, especially when you blank on things you literally just read an hour ago. That discomfort is the point. The act of retrieving information, even imperfectly, even when you get things wrong, is what actually moves information into long-term memory. This is called the testing effect, and it is one of the most replicated findings in all of cognitive psychology. After your memory dump, open your notes and compare. What did you get right? What did you miss? What did you misremember? Study only those gaps. Pay extra attention to the things that did not stick because those are exactly what your brain needs the most repetition on. Then take another 5-minute break. Same rules. Move, hydrate, step away. Sprint 3 is application. This is where the information stops being abstract and starts becoming something your brain can actually use in context. And for healthcare students specifically, this sprint is everything. You are going to work through practice questions, clinical scenarios, or case studies using the material you just reviewed. This is the closest thing to clinical reasoning you can do outside of an actual patient encounter. You are not just learning facts for a test. You are learning to think like a clinician. Work through as many questions as you can in 30 minutes. Read every single explanation, even for questions you got right, because understanding why the right answer is right matters just as much as getting it correct. Sometimes more. When Sprint 3 is done, take a real break. Not 5 minutes. A real break. Eat something, go for a walk, do something completely unrelated to studying. Your brain needs time to consolidate everything from the session, and it cannot do that if you immediately start another sprint. Now, here is the piece that most people skip, and it is arguably the most important part of the whole system. Space your recall attempts over time. One study session is a start, but if you do not come back to the material within 24 to 48 hours, your brain will lose a significant portion of what you just worked so hard to learn. This is called the forgetting curve, and it is ruthless. The fix is simple. After your 90-minute session, schedule a second shorter recall attempt for the next day, just 20 to 30 minutes of closing your notes and writing everything you remember. Then schedule a third attempt 3 to 4 days later. Each time you retrieve the information successfully, the memory trace gets stronger and the forgetting curve gets flatter. This is called spaced repetition, and combined with active recall, it is the single most evidence-based study system in existence. You are not studying harder, you are studying smarter. And for an ADHD brain that gets exhausted by long passive sessions, shorter space sessions are not just more effective, they are more sustainable. Before I wrap up, I want to give you a few ADHD specific notes that make the system work even better for our brains. Your best study environment is probably not complete silence. ADHD brains can actually struggle more in total silence because there is nothing to filter out. A lot of us study better with background noise, lo-fi music, a coffee shop environment, or even a familiar show playing quietly in the background. Experiment and find what works for you without judging yourself for not fitting the silent library mold. Body doubling is your friend. This means studying in the presence of another person, even if you are not working on the same thing. The presence of another human body regulates your nervous system and makes task initiation significantly easier. Virtual body doubling through study streams or focus rooms online works just as well if you cannot find someone to sit with you in person. And finally, the start is always the hardest part. Task initiation is a genuine neurological challenge for ADHD brains, and no amount of motivation or willpower fully fixes it. When you are struggling to begin, try the 2-minute rule. Commit to just 2 minutes of studying. Open the document, read one paragraph, write one sentence. More often than not, starting is all you needed. Momentum builds once you are in motion. The hardest part is just getting there. If you want this system in a format, you can actually use every single study session. I built a study session template into the Mind in Motion Clinical Focus Guide workbook. It walks you through all 3 sprints with prompts, reflection questions, and space to track what you learned and what you still need to review. It is designed specifically for ADHD brains and healthcare training, and you can use it every single time you sit down to study. The link is in the description. There is also a reading guide and a complete bundle if you want everything together. Structure your mind, move with purpose. I will see you in the next one.